ads or all this kind of stuff. We fix a lot of the very broken stuff. When I left corporate in 2013, I was a software engineer with an MBA from Duke, and I swore I would never write another line of code ever again. And you know what happens when you say things like that? God laughs really, really hard, because people kept coming to me asking me to fix their broken websites, their broken marketing, a lot of things like that. To me, social media is just a bunch of algorithms. It's computer algorithms. As a software engineer with lots of years of experience, I'm pushing 30 years of experience at this point. Algorithms to me are second nature. It's something that we did our second year of college, in university, getting a computer science degree. So what to some people seems very mysterious, to me is just, oh, well, the computer is doing exactly what it's been programmed to do. Facebook, LinkedIn is all programmed to do what it is said to do. So that is one of the things that I consider a particular strength, is that I can look at, why is social media not performing? Why is a website not performing? Why are these ads not performing? Why is this SEO not doing what it's supposed to do? Because I understand the algorithms that are going on behind it. So I can kind of keep up with what Google and all of these crazy platforms are doing just by looking at it. And that is my super strength. I also combine sales and operations. Marketing, sales, operations have to work together, or you're going to be dropping leads all over the place. So that's one of the things we're going to be talking about today. As you're generating leads, there has to be some operations pieces behind it to track your leads. If you're not tracking, you're losing people, right? You're losing leads that you have spent time nurturing. You're losing money that you should be making. So one of the things that is most important as you are getting going with this is, how are you tracking the people that are responding to your posts? And are you tracking them? And are you doing that, right? So the first mistake a lot of people make is they're not tracking the people they're talking to, right? And I would hazard a guess that that's most people. You're not unique if you're not tracking. Okay. The first tip I have for you, the first super tip, is you need to be able to track who you're talking to. Spreadsheet, CRM, whatever it is. Who did you talk to? Because here's the thing, if you generate 10 leads off of a post, are you going to follow up with them? Are you going to know you even talked to them in the first place, right? So if I generate 300 leads for you, or this process generates 300 leads for you, what are you going to do with it? You have to have a system in place. Spreadsheet, something, right? You have to have a way to track the people that you're talking to. First tip, track who you're talking to. Know where they came from. There needs to be some sort of way to know, did they come through this class? Did they come through this workshop? Did they come through this freebie download that I offered, right? The second tip I want to offer you today, that's going to be super important to this process, is try different offers. It may be that the first time you do this, the second time, the fifth time doesn't work. That's okay. A toddler doesn't stop trying to walk because they keep falling over. Toddlers are hardcore programmed to walk, right? How many times is a toddler going to fall over learning to walk? Y'all can feel free to answer me in the chat, right? Candace, different offers and different ways of offering the same program and different ways of offering the same thing. like riding a bike. It can be you try 10 different ways of offering the same thing. It can be you try 10 different offers. And also, please don't spend all of your time, money, effort, energy building massive websites. Even though I build websites, I love to sell you a website. I'd be very happy if you want to book a call with me. I can set you up with a website until you have tested your offer. Don't go spending $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 building this massive funnel apparatus and system. Raise your hand if you've done it. I know I have. Let me tell you about the launch I did where I built the website and I paid for the sales copy and the business coach and the ads, and I did all the things and I launched it. Anybody want to hazard a guess as to how many sales I got? Y'all are close. I got 1 sale. Okay. So, lesson learned, test your offer before you go out and go build everything. Before you build the pretty website. Test it at different times, test it with different ways of wording it. Testing is free. Testing only costs your time. Right? One of the things I did last year was I was playing with a couple of different social media posts. And here's the reality. I posted one of them on my profile and it got a reach of almost 200,000 people. I took that exact same post and I posted it a few weeks later on one of my Facebook business pages. Reach was about 1,000. Test different timing and places. I took a different post and I posted it on that Facebook page and it got a reach of 100,000. And then I posted it at a different time on my personal profile. The inverse thing happened. I got a reach of about 500. So just because it doesn't work once doesn't mean it's not going to work. Keep testing, keep trying. That's part of the key to success. Keep testing, keep trying. Because if you don't keep testing and keep trying, this particular technique is never going to work for you. If you don't track your clients, if you don't track knowing who you talk to, if you can't keep up with them, well, you might as well have never posted it in the first place. You might as well just be spitting in the wind. So that's an important thing, right? Don't be afraid to keep testing. Just because it didn't work today at 2 o'clock doesn't mean it's not going to work tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Do it early, often, and regularly. Test, test, test. We used to have a joke, and my husband and I still joke about this because my husband's a computer programmer as well. Talking about software engineers, and I'm a software engineer. I worked at IBM for a lot of years. I worked at what is now Dell EMC, writing kernel and platform code, writing network device drivers. The reality of testing that kind of code a lot of times is that all of the pretty little code debugging tools that exist don't actually work in that environment. So the way that we debug things is that a lot of times we do something over and over and over again, watching it fail. And we put a debug statement in between each line of code, and we look and we see where it fails. So as you can imagine, we used to joke about having several engineers in the back of a car. Several people are in the back of the car and they're at the top of the hill, and you've got an engineer and an accountant and an attorney. They're in the back of the car and they're going down a hill and the brakes fail. So The accountant is like, well, let's go back and measure our numbers and see what we got and do all the things. The attorney's like, well, we're going to obviously have to sue the car maker and, et cetera, et cetera. And the engineer is like, well, let's just push the car back up the hill and see if it happens again. Right? So apply that in your business. Let's push it back up the hill and see if it happens again. And y'all can make fun of me as a software geek all day long. It's okay. You're not going to hurt my feelings. So when you think about marketing your business, when you think about lead generation, your engineer husband did that exact thing with your car. Yeah. Right? I mean, it's a very engineer thing to do. It's a very computer science thing to do. Let me just push it back up the hill and see if it happens again. Let me see if I can recreate that environment. Right? And that's good and bad, right? If something is successful, that's great. You're going to keep trying to recreate that. But chances are you're going to be more like Thomas Edison with a light bulb and do it 100 times until you get that one time where the lightning strikes and the lightning goes, right? And then you might maybe manage to fail a few more times until you get that lightning strike in the light bulb. So my message to you is this: don't give up. Right? Just because it didn't work the first 10 times doesn't mean it's not going to work. A Tesla fan, right? So here's the thing. What I'm talking about here is using a single post to generate dozens of leads. We're going to back up another step and say, where are you putting that post? If you're putting that post somewhere where you have no engagement and you have no connections and no followers, chances are it's not going to work. Okay, let's use some common sense here. If you don't have followers, if you don't have connections, if you don't have any engagement going on and you go, hey, I've got this amazing thing, who wants it? It's going to bomb out, okay? I can tell you that 1,000%. So build your connections, engage with your people. Go to Women Helping Women Entrepreneurs or Women's Entrepreneur Network. Find a place where there's a lot of people. Pay to do the promo post and try it and see what happens. Don't do it into an empty canyon. Okay, this is definitely not going to work into a place where you've got nothing going on. Okay. Now, the next thing is keep it simple. I'm a big believer in KISS. Believe it or not, I prefer to simplify things as much as we can. Keep it simple, sweetheart. If you put a post out there that says, who wants my hoobity watchity blabbity 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 blah, question mark, you're going to get, huh? People are going to look at you a little funny. Right? And if your audience is not copacetic with whatever it is that you're offering, you're going to get crickets. Right? And that's what happens to a lot of us. We put out this super complicated, heartfelt message, and we're doing it to a party of 3, and then we get crickets. And then we're like, well, clearly marketing doesn't work. Here's the thing. You need numbers, you need the right audience, and you need a simple message. Here's the thing. People are, yes, I will answer that question in a bit, Marianne. People are in the online space. They're on their phones. 80 to 90% of people on Facebook are doing this. And they're multitasking. You're trying to break the scroll. You're trying to get their attention. And yes, that's a picture of my husband and my dog. I really do have a husband. Some of y'all have even met him. And here's the thing. You're trying to break the scroll. And you're trying to get the attention of people who swear up one side and down the other that multitasking is not affecting them. True story. True story. My birthday weekend, my brother is here with his lovely wife, and my husband, my brother, my sister-in-law, and I are all sitting in front of my fireplace in the living room. And we've got the fire roaring, and it's a lovely environment. And my brother, my husband, and I are sitting there chatting. And my sister-in-law is occasionally like adding to the conversation, but she's on her phone and she's doing this the whole time. The whole time. Oh, I'm just, doomsday scrolling in Amazon. Oh, I'm totally paying attention to what you're talking about. Oh yeah, I know what's going on, right? So my brother and I are like, okay, do you want to go to breakfast tomorrow morning? Sure, yeah, I want to go to breakfast tomorrow morning. Okay, let's go at 10 o'clock to La Farm Bakery, which is around the corner from my house. And my sister-in-law's like, okay, sure, we'll go. We'll be ready. And so I looked at my brother as I'm getting ready to go to bed. I'm like, hey, I got to go to bed. I'm really tired. It's really late. I'm exhausted. Can't wait to see you guys in the morning. I'll see you at 10 o'clock and we're going to go to La Farm for breakfast. So we get up the next morning and my brother-in-law and I are dressed. We've got our shoes on. We're getting ready to leave. My sister-in-law comes trotting down the stairs and goes, oh, what's for breakfast? And I had looked at my brother and I busted out laughing because I had had the conversation the night before about, hey, y'all, multitasking is not great for the brain. And people tend to be very distracted. My sister-in-law, in the meantime, when we were having this conversation about multitasking, is like, oh no, I know how to multitask because I'm a woman and I can totally multitask. But your brother is a man and he only can focus on one thing at a time. And I was like, actually studies show that multitasking has a similar effect on our brain to marijuana. It's like being perpetually high. There was a Forbes study about 6 or 7 years ago that came out that shows that the effect of multitasking is similar to being on marijuana. Every single person on your Facebook feed, without the fun part, right, is probably that level of distracted, right? So while multitasking may seem to be a thing on the surface, it's not really. We're trying to break through the noise with people that are multitasking. And I could describe in computer terms exactly what it's doing to our brain. We literally have to context switch every single time we think we're multitasking. And a lot of times data gets lost in between, right? So your audience is in that I think I can multitask stage. They're probably chilling and watching Netflix and they see your post go by. Okay. You need to stop the scroll with that post. This is why a lot of my posts are short posts, or they're funny posts, or they're intentionally designed to poke a reaction. I sometimes do longer posts, Marion, but a lot of my posts are shorter because I'm trying to poke through that haze of the scroll. When you are posting, short, sweet, to the point. So if you're posting a who wants my complicated whoozy what's it, chances are It's harder for people to understand what the complicated whoozy what's it is. And it's not going to stop the scroll because you haven't managed to pierce the haze of the scroll because you're in the scroll, right? So you're trying to get through that haze that is the scroll. When you're thinking about social media posting, and this is something that we're constantly battling against too, you try to keep it one color block length. Exactly. We manage social media accounts for clients. Okay, so we create content for clients. Sometimes we schedule, but usually we're creating a lot of content. We're creating graphics. We're creating color blocks. We're doing things, right? So we are trying to create content that stops the scroll, that breaks through the haze. Long can work, but your graphic and your visual have to be really good. Simple is almost always best if you're trying to generate a ton of leads off of a single post. Simple is best. So Candace actually noticed what I did, and I'm going to call Candace out on this one because you were absolutely correct. I said in my post on Facebook, who wants to know how I generate dozens of leads in a single Facebook post? I got 80 some odd responses. Okay. So my audience is warm. I've been connecting to people, right? I constantly engage. And it was a simple question. Who wants to know how I did it? And here I have a workshop. Now, I'm going to tell you, I broke a few of my own rules because I was being lazy. And yet I still have 23 people here today. Not bad. Okay. You can post the link to register or the link to whatever your download is, but you should almost always DM the person and say, hey, I saw that you responded to my request. Would you like this more information? And then you put a note on your spreadsheet, the person's name and what the request was, right? So that you know what the next step is in your funnel. This is a spreadsheet, okay, or my CRM, whatever you're doing to track people. Hey, somebody responded. I respond back. You should always respond back so you can keep track of who the heck you already talked to. And here's one thing. Don't just go dropping links all over the place unless you're limiting how fast you're doing that, or else you're going to end up in Facebook jail. 10 an hour is about the limit. So if you're going to do one of these posts, try to avoid dropping links. Facebook and whatever don't really like dropping links. So if I had 3 people reply instead of 80, DM instead of a webinar. Yes. Exactly. Getting people into the DMs is where it's at. If you're trying to get clients, the DM game has to be strong. The conversation has to be strong. The Facebook algorithm does slap you for posting offsite links. It slaps you in 2 ways. One is if I post the who wants my blah, 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 and then I post in the first comment, it's going to slap me. So never, ever, ever post a link in the first comment. Don't post the link in the question either, right? You're going to respond to people and DM and then give them the link to register. However, your DM sequence is going to look like this. Hey, connecting because I noticed that you wanted more information about XYZ. Are you still interested? Question mark. Make a note in your spreadsheet. Don't drop the link. When they reply back and say, why, yes, I am interested. Oh, really great to hear back from you. I wanted to personally extend an invitation to you for this workshop, whatever. Here is the free resource or the free guide or the whatever I offered you. Okay. And then you take it to that next step of, here's where I'm going with that, right? Make sure you give them what you offered them. Don't play games. I've seen way too many people playing games. This is not games galore, right? If somebody says, I want this, you give them this. Don't wave it in front of them and play switching games. There has got to be some coach out there right now, and I don't know who they are, who is telling people to do these types of posts, and then you do this whole pre-qualification game and you decide to try to get somebody on a call and you never give them the thing that they asked for. Y'all, that switch and bait, I've had a few people do it. I've kicked a few out of my Facebook group for doing it. It is disingenuous. It's out of integrity. So if somebody says, I want this, yeah, Annie, you've probably had it happen to you too, right? Then give them this. I'm actually interested in whatever you offered. I'd like to start a conversation. Here, let's do that, right? Let's have an honest conversation. Here's the thing. When people reply, even if you only get 3 responses, you're adding those people to your lead gen list and you're following up with them and circling back and doing all the sales activities with them. They're really hot leads. Patty, who wants my guide on how to nail D1 college athletic scholarships? Right? Paige, who wants my energy clearing guide for a sacred workspace? Marion, who wants my guide on being a stronger cello player? Denise, who wants my guide on living a longer, happier life without him? Right? Everybody has a thing that you can offer that's a very simple thing. It could be a guide, it could be a workshop. Kelly, who wants my guide for my top 3 tips on releasing fear? Whatever. Marsha, who wants my Christmas guide or my gift giving guide for Valentine's Day? Right? You could include affiliate links. You can include your own stuff. You can include all kinds of things in there. Annie, who wants my top 10 list on things to avoid when writing copy? Right? Or here's what, who wants my guide on website development, like questions to ask your developer? On and on and on and on. You don't directly DM the link, Kim. So here's the thing. That's an excellent question. The way you stay out of Facebook jail is you respond to every single person. You limit it to about 10 an hour. You say, hey, I noticed that you responded to my post about blah, blah, blah. Are you still interested? ? No link. Don't drop the link. If you get 20 people who respond and you go, da-bloop, 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 and you do it in super quick succession, I can guarantee you're going to end up in Facebook jail. Slow it down and don't drop links. When somebody responds back is when you do give them the link for the download or the PDF or whatever. But here's the thing. Don't just copy and paste blocks of text super fast back to back, because then Facebook thinks you're a bot. LinkedIn thinks you're a bot. Twitter thinks you're a bot. Instagram thinks you're a bot. Right? Don't just copy and paste and go bloop, 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 because you're being super efficient. Slow it down. Thank you, Denise. But after the engagement in the DM, then you send the link. Correct. Exactly. If they don't respond back, how often do you circle back? Every couple of days. That's why you need to keep a list. Here's the thing. A lot of times I actually miss DMs when somebody sends me a DM. If y'all saw how many times I get tagged on something or how many notifications I get a day, my little counter on my notifications kind of sits there and does in like an insane speed. I manage people's Facebook pages. I manage a bunch of groups. I manage all my own stuff. I've got almost 8,000 followers on my personal profile. My notifications go bzzz. So sometimes people aren't online all the time. Sometimes they are, but just be aware that just because you texted them doesn't mean that they saw it. This is why you have to track them. I messaged them. I didn't hear back. I'm going to just check in with them again. Is it painful? Yes, can be. Is this making sense to you? It's a super simple technique and it works. It absolutely works. Here's the thing. You want to keep it simple. One question. Who wants my blank? 3 to 5 words. Easy to incorporate with an assistant. Yes. If you have an assistant running your social media, it's the exact same thing. So right now, one of the things Tiff and I are doing is she's messaging people for when CIBN. She's not even on my own page, right? She's not on my profile, but she is following up with people who are joining Women's Entrepreneur Network. Or sometimes when I say, hey, who wants to join us for a networking meeting on Tuesday, sometimes she's following up, sometimes I'm following up. And the way we're keeping track of that is I comment or she comments and I know not to circle back with that person, but she's got a list. Absolutely. Right. Then if they want to hop on a call, it's you. Then they get the link or they get manually scheduled. So here's the thing about scheduling too. Glad you brought that up, Candace. Unless you're booking a class where you're trying to get a bunch of people into a class, don't just drop a calendar link and run. This is for all of y'all that are coaches. Manually schedule the appointment. You will dramatically increase the amount of appointments you get. Now, I will tell you, I will drop my calendar link here at the end for y'all to book a call with me. And then I'm going to follow up with y'all. Here's the thing. If you drop a link for a calendar with people, your booking rate drops 50% or more. Right? It's convenient sometimes, but it's not always convenient. So your booking rate is going to drop dramatically if all you're doing is dropping your calendar link. Now, if you're inviting people to an event that they have to register for, there's not really much you can do, right? You have to get them through the registration process. You can ask them for their email address and you can manually enter their email address or whatever, right? But you want to give them attention and service. Just manually dropping links. How many times do you click on a link? Right? Let's be real here. I get busy unless somebody is like manually booking me and then reminding me and sending me a calendar link. I may not book. So just be aware of that. Yeah. Have a 10% discount if booked by X rate, then hurry up. Yeah, exactly. You do want to give people the attention that they deserve. So what we've covered here, right? Make sure that you are tracking your leads. If you're not tracking your leads, they never existed. You're not tracking your conversations, it never happened. If you don't have a record in business, it never happened. You want to make sure that wherever you're posting has an audience. 143 connections on your Facebook profile. If you don't have a ton of people on your Facebook profile, it's probably not it. Now, here's another tip for you. If you're posting in a group and people are responding to you, you can send people friend requests, but once again, don't do a million back to back. Limit it to 5 to 10 to 15 a day. Right. I always like to speak to clients before I see them. They have to book with you directly. Exactly. Right. Absolutely. Clients have to talk to me for digital marketing services, so I know if I can actually help them with a website or social media or whatever before we take any money. Absolutely. I've actually unsold people a lot of websites almost as often as I have sold people websites. If you're on your 4th website and you're not getting any sales, probably it's not the website. We have other issues we need to address first. Thank you. This is Jinx. So the next tip, keep it simple. Yes, always keep it simple. Right? The more complicated your question is, the more complicated the guide is, the more complicated things are, the less likely people are to respond. The more confusing it is, people are more likely to bounce. And you've got to break through the scrolly haze, right? I was told today that I should post on my business page and then share to my other pages and groups. Is that what you're seeing too? No. That trick is about 2 or 3 years old. You can, but it can get throttled when you're doing that. I've done it a bit. It doesn't really help very much. I've played with the numbers and the algorithms before and after. Yeah. So if you're finding this valuable, I'm hoping you are, know that I offer a mastermind that we do this with. It's not just this. This is just one technique. This is just one itty bitty piece part of it. One of the things I believe is that there's no one size fits all for marketing. So this is a technique that can work for many businesses, but not necessarily all, because you may not have the following, you may not have the numbers, you may not have whatever. It may not be your particular business. I have other clients who have successfully monetized YouTube channels and we've gotten off of Facebook. There's no one size fits all. So I'd like to introduce y'all to the concept that I have a mastermind. It's super affordable. And we do this type of thing every single week. This is the kind of valuable information my clients are getting every single week. TikTok is probably a really valuable platform. And you can probably also use your TikTok videos, super tip, on YouTube as shorts, on Facebook as reels, and then on Instagram as reels. You can reuse the heck out of those videos. And here's another thing. If a video is successful on one platform, it doesn't mean it's going to be successful on the others and vice versa. Keep trying different things. You're probably going to sense a theme here. It's about testing. See what works It may not work on Instagram. It may not play well on Instagram this time, but it may play super well on TikTok, and it may do really well on other platforms. So our mastermind meets once a week. We actually have 2 sessions that we offer. You get to pick which one you come to. Monday nights at 8 p.m., Wednesday afternoons at 3 p.m., and all times are in Eastern. So that's one of the things that we do. It's for small business owners who are still making under about $5,000 to $8,000 a month. And we really focus on getting people to results quickly. So let me know what questions you have about lead generation and whatnot, because I am here to answer your questions and make sure that you get your questions answered. And you can actually unmute yourself if you want. And here's also a question, link that you can book a time with me. I see Tiff's look. Thank you.
I know, right? Wheels are spinning. Well, I'm excited about the fact that I just want to say to everybody, I never understood a lot of these things. Now Haley's, I mean it. She's letting me reach out to these women who have signed up for When, and it's really awesome seeing how these strategies work. And just that simple, hey, we have this call that's coming up. I would love to invite you. Would you like me to, would you like an invite? I just need your email. And sometimes people ask questions. Most people don't. But then there are some people that say, sure, and here's my email. And then I send them a follow-up and I remind them. And the first few weeks, nothing happened. And I felt kind of, But now people are starting to show up for meetings. And the best part is they're really excited about being there. So that's what I'm so excited about. Like, I see the power in this. And I'm really grateful I have the opportunity to see the power in this because, like you said, simple, just ask. Yeah.
And to your point, the fortune is absolutely in the follow-up. So many times, if somebody drops off the face of the earth, we don't follow up with them again, right? They didn't want my who's what's it. Well, a lot of times, if you're trying to get somebody to do something, they are really, really, they don't know who you are. They haven't connected with you. They don't know who you are as a person. They don't know what you stand for. And then they're not as likely to buy from you or come to your meeting or be a guest or come to a class, right? So you have to keep inviting over and over again and just be genuine and warm and caring. And a lot of times if you can get somebody into a workshop and then you can get people to keep coming to workshops and you can do other things, it will help. Or networking meetings or whatever your thing is to get people in. You have to keep inviting over and over and over again. And this goes back to that lead tracking, right? Are you getting people's emails? Do you have a list of names? How are you inviting people back to the next workshop?
I do have a question also about, My question is, because you had messaged me and I just want to make sure I didn't understand it. So now I have all of these people. Let's say I have 100 people that I've messaged. I know it's more than that, but now I want to reconnect with them. Is that considered another new initial reach out or? Okay.
No, you just keep, you actually so you have a spreadsheet and you have one column that's the name, and then you have the initial contact, and you might have a note, and then you have a next contact, and then you have a note, and then you have a next, and then a note, and you keep track of that. If you're using a spreadsheet, if you're using a CRM, most CRMs will allow you to keep track of notes and follow-up dates and all the things.
But I'm just saying for Facebook, for Messenger, let's say I initially reached out to you. You're a new contact, so I just did that today. Now tomorrow, I wait a couple days and I don't get a response and I reach out again. Hey, just checking back to see that you saw I messaged you. Is that considered another new introduction or? Oh, okay, good.
No.
So once you've reached the 10, I just do 10 people every once in a while. Once you initially do that, then Facebook doesn't consider that you're reaching out to a new person.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah, you
Haley.
don't necessarily, you want to keep following up with people. They're not a new person if they haven't responded, but
Okay, cool.
they're still in your list, right?
Haley,
Yep.
I just wanted to say thank you for this information. And the value add for me was having Tony Ann writing out stuff. That's brilliant. I so appreciate that because I like to capture notes on my computer, on my OneDrive. And it just made it so much easier. She seems to understand your brain, and she got
She's getting there. She'll tell you I drive her nuts some days.
So thank you, Tony Ann.
You're welcome.
And
So
you can
everybody-
save the notes, right?
you can
From
save it,
from Zoom.
Yeah.
or the
Yeah.
last
Do y'all know
one
how
I
to
just
save your?
did, I recapped all of your notes, Haley, in the last post.
Yeah.
I see it.
Everybody just copy and paste it into a notes on your phone, or on your computer, or a Word doc or an email.
Or you can save your whole chat here and then you've got it all together. Right.
Thank you.
And, if you're not sure, book a call with me, spend some time, let's chat. You can check out my website. If you want to know if we're legit, yes, we are legit. We work with a ton of very small business owners in our mastermind, but we also work with a lot of much, much bigger business owners as part of our digital marketing agency. The mastermind is almost like a community give back in a lot of ways to help small business owners grow to the point that, maybe they can afford to have stuff done, but it's really intended to give back to micro business owners. Do you have any other questions for me? I know we are coming up. We have about 8 minutes until the top of the hour, and I do want to be super respectful of your time. You are welcome, Kim. And Kim is another person who's been in my mastermind who has survived me for a period of time, and Patty as well. Yeah. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So you have questions. You can type your questions if you want to. You're still alive. Yeah, I haven't run you off the edge of a bridge yet. Yeah. Thank you guys for coming. If you have more questions, feel free to shoot them over.
I have a question.
And yeah.
Because I thought there's still time. Okay, thanks. So I'm excited because I love the idea of the short posts. I had a question. Because I'm a positive intelligence coach and they have really pretty simple pictures and real pretty color blocking. I like to use those, but my question is it better to use the Facebook when you can use their hearts, when you make a post and it's hearts? And do you think a person should be more consistent, or can you switch it up?
So I think it's good to switch things up. However, I will tell you, I think that simple graphics are the most effective if you're using a graphic. The Facebook backgrounds, if you use the simple ones, tend to be the most effective of everything.
Gotcha.
Haley,
Things that have a lot of moving parts are harder to look at. Things that have a simple background are much, much more easy.
Thank you.
Marcia, if you're confused with information about posts that Facebook sends in Meta, that's outside the scope of today's talk. It's going to be a whole down a rabbit hole and 3-hour conversation.
Haley, could you
seriously?
could you give an idea of Mastermind? So you go on at 8 o'clock or whatever time.
It's
an hour. And is it in this format? Are you covering one topic? Are you how does that actually work? What does it look like?
So I ask people to bring a topic. Monday nights, we're typically covering mindset, goal setting, and goal tracking. And if you're hitting a problem, what's the problem and how do we address it in real time? So it could be a hot seat, or it could be just a simple hey, how do I fix this? A lot of times we're dealing with, how do I keep track? How do I keep track of people? They don't send anything, Marcia. You have to create your own spreadsheets. everything you're doing is from scratch. So the format is typically Monday nights is goal setting, hot seat, tracking progress. This week's assignment is what is one thing you can give up in your business? Because I find that so often business owners are running themselves ragged and we're doing too much. Believe it or not, we're doing so much that it's actually a form of sabotage.
And always with a focus on marketing.
Not always with a focus on marketing. Sometimes it's on self-care and sometimes it's on operations. I have actually very heavy focus on operations in general. And the intersection between marketing, operations, sales, and if you're doing products, how does this all intersect?
Oh, creating a sweet spot. Okay.
And then the self-care piece that goes with it, right? How do we get to production? How do we get to increased sales without going off the deep end? And then we do a call on Wednesdays that is a pure technical call. And it's usually centered around where people are getting stuck on things. It could be on organizing events. It could be on a range of topics, summits, workshops. We've covered Facebook ads. We've covered ads on different platforms. We've covered how to work Pinterest. It really depends on what people need because it's truly small group format. And so a lot of times we're focusing on branding questions and operations and CRMs and all the business pieces and parts.
Okay.
Yeah. And then
Thanks.
not blow people up. Yes, you do get up to 2 calls per week. You can come to one, you can come to both. And it just depends on the person. Some people come to one, some people come to both, but they're different topics in each call. So they're not redundant.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And we really try to keep it under 10 people. So it's really not a big group. If I had more than 10 people on calls, we would add to the number of calls and then split people off. So anyway, yeah. There was a question about funnels, quiz funnels. The answer is I use Formidable on WordPress. Formidable Forms allows surveys, quiz funnels, all kinds of stuff. Forms. It allows you to create apps. You can do all kinds of things. If anybody wants more info, let us know, DM me, DM Tony, let us know. Checklists, yeah. Gotta run. See you, Kim. I know it's only 4 o'clock your time. Let us know what questions you have. Feel free to DM me. Feel free to message me here. I hope that this helps. Keep it super, super simple. So many times we try to make things so much more complicated than it actually has to be. And we're offering things that people don't even know what they are. I find one of the things I had to do was go back in my own marketing and really simplify messaging for like workshops. Who wants this one topic? Who wants this one thing? Or this one guide? It covers one thing. Keep it simple. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And don't forget to save your chat with all your recaps in it. And we will be sending out the recording. Keep it simple, silly.
Have fun.
Night. Have a good afternoon.